Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. Many of our viewers here in Western New York remember a time when the word education meant learning. But it wasn't just the kind of learning that some nameless pinhead from Albany or Washington decided that kids should learn. I'm talking about a time when kids learned a lot of what would be considered pretty basic practical stuff. Reading, writing, arithmetic, you know, the 3 R's. Still don't remember why they call it 3 R's, but don't even get me started about history and patriotism. What I'm talking about here is the practical kind of learning, the education that prepares students for a paycheck. In other words, vocational training. Somewhere along the line, I think that phrase, vocational training, fell out of favor. Buffalo high schools used to be great at teaching skills. Things like working on cars, working on airplanes. How about being a carpenter? When you graduated from Burghardt, Hutch Tech, Seneca Vocational, chances are you had a skill. Chances you could get a job. Today, you can get a loan and go on to college for 4 years. Anyway, if you've been living under a rock for the last few years, or worse, if you've been listening to the mainstream media, you might have missed the fact that the economy is doing pretty good lately. Unemployment is at a record low, and that's a good thing, mostly. But there is a downside. You see, employers, businesses all around Western New York are having a hard time finding good, skilled workers. When you're a businessman, and business is good, say maybe you sell cars. Well, the more cars you sell, the more you have to service. And if you can't find good service technicians, it's hard to do good service. If service declines, guess what happens eventually to sales? You know, you get the idea. My guest on The Big Picture today is very familiar with a lot of problems that businesses, especially car dealers, have to go through. Paul Stasiak is president of the Niagara Frontier Automobile Dealers Association. And a little birdie told me not too long ago that the dealers in this area are constantly looking for good people in every phase of their operations. So welcome to The Big Picture, Paul Stasiak.
Phil, thanks for having us on, and probably more importantly, thanks for understanding and recognizing the workforce shortage we have. And it's not just in Western New York, but it's all over the country, and it's pretty prevalent here.
You know, there's always a balance, good, you know, and bad. There's the more people that are working, you know, that creates, you know, a good economy. You know, people are doing well, but also for businessmen, sometimes it's just hard to find people out there in the workforce that you can bring in. And, you know, and it goes back to the schools and the training.
Well, it all starts at inception, and then we talk about that, it's indoctrination. Phil, the shortage we have in our industry is much more than just technicians. But you hit the nail on the head when you talk about vocational school and student preparation. Burghardt does have an auto tech program.
Yeah,
with a dwindling number of kids that are I don't want to say in the program, but made aware of the program. Parents don't see it, unfortunately, as a job. They see it as just a pacifier. Our industry is in desperate need of a future, and it's not a present. Just think about this. Do you want somebody working on your car, if you're going here between here and Albany, that really is an average person that has no knowledge of brakes, no knowledge of a steering panel, of a steering column? It's frightening. We need the best, we need the brightest, but we need people to understand the end is the beginning. Nothing happens without, you know, a solid workforce, and we recognize that in our industry.
And training is so important, especially with technology changing the way it is. I mean, things, the way the world in general is going and the way the auto industry is going, there's just so many things that are moving quickly. I mean, I joke that, you know, I could rebuild a carburetor in about 10 minutes back in the day. Not anymore. You know,
you couldn't find, there is none. You couldn't even find where to even start in a car. But with that said, Phil, that's an interesting dynamic we're faced with. People think the car's too sophisticated to repair. You talked about the 3 R's, and you're right, I don't know where the third one came in. The basic skills needed to fix a car today are math, reading, okay, and good communications. So even though the technology's advanced, the basic components are still out there. It's more computer-based, it's more module-based, it's more viral-based on the repair. We don't fix transmissions in dealerships anymore. Hint, secret, they bring in a brand new rebuilt one that was built somewhere else. So that technician of old that used to rebuild a transmission doesn't do that anymore. It's cheaper for the consumer to ship it out and have another one brought in. So that young technician might be taking it off for shipping. So we don't want to scare people away with this technology edge, because it's still the basic skills we're looking for.
Well, you deal with the entire area in terms of car dealers, new car dealers. What do they tell you when it comes to, you know, their needs for people? You said it goes across the entire gamut of employees, not just technicians.
We also need somebody that can talk to a consumer to help diagnose what their problem is. I mean, you know, you'll see a lot more females as service writers because they tend to hear a little better than us, Phil. we think we can diagnose the problem without hearing it. So we need people when you walk in that greet you, help write up that repair and go through it. We need also people to help process the paperwork that goes to Albany. A lot of things are done online now. If your registration or your lien release isn't done properly, when you go to sell it, it's a headache. So that's a vocation in itself. I mean, titling, billing, general office skills. But look, we deal with every high school from here to central New York. We deal with every manufacturer. I don't care, you know, domestic, import, high-end, entry level. There's a common thread. We started an education awareness program. We offer the training. Some schools have free scholarships for these kids for their first 2 years of college. So that's how committed they are to it. So the scope of what we need is vast. The scope of who we touch is vast. So we need entities like you to help us get the word out.
Well, there are some programs out there that do help kids with vocational skills. Burgart, you mentioned, still has a program. What are some of the other sources that parents can steer their kids towards if they want them to learn a skill as opposed to just taking out a loan and getting a general college education that might be questionable when they, you know, graduate and have this huge debt?
First of all, ECC offers 3 main manufacturer programs. They've got a Ford, Chrysler, and you know we do things with all of our other manufacturers on a cap end of it. Monroe Community College has a GM program, and all could be subsidized with scholarships. The key is a work-study program. We have kids go to school for 10 weeks. Go in dealership for 10 weeks, earn their money to pay for their 10 weeks of school, come back and go from there. We're not alone. I mean, we partner with all the vocational technical studies. I don't want people to think I'm sitting here today saying, hey, the auto industry is the only vocation you need. I talk to heating and cooling and refrigeration. I'm constantly talking to hospitality. The people who are serving you food, we have a shortage of. You know, I mean, I deal with Northlands and the construction trades business. We're all in that need. Try to find a good electrician or try to find a good plumber. You know, they're $100 an hour to just look at you and telling you need a new toilet. You know, we are all in this education awareness curriculum ourselves. So our thing is stay in school, stay off drugs, stay in Western New York, and we can guarantee employment.
And we're talking about employment that pays well.
Very well.
You know, good benefits. I mean, you can have a fairly good life if you pursue that course. I mean, if you go in that direction, it's not like you're going to be living, you know, with the dregs of society. You're going to have a good life going forward.
You know, without getting in numbers, I mean, we've got employees that make a 6-figure income fixing a car. They've paid their dues. They've been around a long time. They're very well educated. They've taken all the certification above and beyond the school education. They've made that their doctoral. And we joke, we're going to put our technicians, I think our technicians should be in lab coats. We do the work of doctors in many ways. We're doctors on a car. We're not doctors on a body. And the sophistication in the car is as complex as the problems we have in our body. And these guys are that talented, and these young ladies, to be able to diagnose something. The only advantage a doctor has is people tell him where it hurts. A car doesn't.
They're respected professionals. They do, you know, a job that's needed, and there's nothing that's you know, less than professional about it. I mean, it's a good.
We're encouraged. You know, our partners in education, whether they be Erie 1, Erie 2, Niagara Orleans, there are a number of high schools out there that have an auto tech curriculum, auto body curriculum, as well as they do, you know, a lot more getting in welding and electronics. They are doing a yeoman's job to try to take that out to parents like you and I that are old school and grandparents and say, here's an alternative to a high student loan. Here's an alternative to quicker employment and a quick engagement to employment and a lifelong career profession. So the work that our partners are doing in concert with industry is getting a lot easier to tell the parents on.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes left in this segment. I want to kind of segue into a related area, and that is cars in general are a little bit more reliable today than they were, you know, in the past generation. And there's less of a divide between the engineering that goes into like foreign cars and just domestic, you know, American manufacturers. It used to be, I can remember when American manufacturers were the car, and then they fell on hard times a little bit. You know, the you know, foreign manufacturers came across and they had this image of being better engineered, you know, longer lasting. That's not so much the case anymore. American manufacturers kind of caught up again. The reputation is good.
It's an intellectual sharing of information. I mean, with internet and everything. You know, they have a product advantage for about a week in today's day and age, and that's good. I mean, look, there's alliance between Ford and Volkswagen. There's alliance between GM and imports. I mean, the crossing of technology is imperative today to make everybody more efficient. I don't think any manufacturer's got one major secret or that secret sauce, whether it be autonomous vehicles or electric vehicles. They're all struggling to find the best way to deliver the highest quality to the marketplace and appeal to that consumer. So you're 1,000% correct. The days of somebody having a V8 when nobody else even thought of putting that kind of horsepower are going to last for a very short period of time.
And, you know, now the lines are blurred even more because a lot of the quote-unquote foreign, you know, manufacturers build cars right here in this country. You know, Honda and
it's a beautiful
Toyota
thing.
And, you know,
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Crossover is vibrant for everybody.
Well, okay, that's it for this segment. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the technology. We're going to talk about the Dealers Association and what you guys do, and the upcoming auto show, which is going to be very interesting this year. We'll be right back after these messages.